Andy Haldane, the chief economist of the Bank of England, who predicts that the economy is going to really motor. He said it's going to roar forward like a coiled spring. So a key part of the recovery will be people who've taken part in apprenticeships, who are on apprenticeship schemes, learning great skills. Somebody who's very involved in all of that is Andy Street, who is the elected mayor of the West Midlands, and he joins me now. Andy Street, why do you have apprenticeships been such an important part of your term of office there in the West Midlands?
So, Andrew, nice to be on the programme with you this evening. And the answer to your question is quite simply that this region of the country is still a region that manufactures most, exports most, and those companies need people with lots of practical skills, whether it be engineering or digital, for example. So getting people who'd prefer to get those practical skills and really develop a career that way rather than going off to university is really a brilliant route forward. So we've really been concentrating on maximising the number of apprentices we can get here in the West Midlands.
And are they principally in engineering related work, Andy Street?
So they've traditionally been in those areas. There's still lots of brilliant opportunities there. But actually, if you look at the people who've just joined in the last quarter, we've had big numbers in health-related skills and actually in public service areas as well. So we're seeing a broadening of them. But please, those engineering skills are still really critical to our big manufacturers here.
And do you think now that people are as attracted to apprenticeships as perhaps they used to be many years ago? When I left school, Andy Street, which was probably long before you did, it was a noble profession to go into an apprenticeship. I think about my own brother. He got an apprenticeship with British Rail. He's never been out of work. But then there would seem to be this huge, we must get our child to university, we must go to Polytechnic. Do you think that pendulum's swinging back?
It is definitely swinging back. I was in a wonderful cutting-edge precision engineering company in South Birmingham earlier this week talking to youngsters, and they were incredibly proud of the really high-tech skills that they were learning and were actually very confident in their choice. And one of them said to me, you know what, I'm earning and learning at the same time. I won't leave university with a debt. So choices are right. Someone to do the traditional university piece, someone to do the apprenticeship. But yes, the pendulum is swinging, Andrew, I'm very sure.
And in your area, you've got the largest Apprenticeship Levy Transfer Fund. What is that exactly?
Yeah, so I should explain this because this is about us doing things a bit differently here. It's uniquely for the West Midlands. And when I came into this role, I knew that lots of big businesses were not being able to spend their apprenticeship levy in training in their own business. It was effectively a tax that they were wasting. So we did a deal with central government where those big businesses can then transfer that money that they're effectively wasting into a pool that we hold here in the combined authority. Then it pays for apprenticeships in small and medium-sized enterprises. So it's about big businesses in the region helping small businesses, and it's been incredibly successful. We've got over 20 million in that fund now.
Now, you're one of those, you practice what you preach because, of course, you went to university, Andy Street, but you worked your way up from the bottom to the top to become chief executive of John Lewis. Has that, do you think, made you more alive and aware of the importance of apprenticeships?
I think yes, and perhaps it's actually brought about a different way in which I do this political job. So I left a business career to move into a political career, but I've tried very much to bring the business experience, to do the deals with central government, not to be too partisan. I don't think people want that in their politicians at the moment. They want practical delivery on the ground, which needs that business skill.
Now, we're talking in the programme about Andy Haldane, the chief economist of the Bank of England. He predicts that the economy can roar forward like a coiled spring because of all the pent-up savings in the economy from people who have been working but haven't been able to spend it on recreation, leisure. Do you share that optimism?
Yes, I do, in the sense in which he was describing those who have been lucky enough to keep their job. They've definitely got increased savings. And so we will see that spent when hospitality, leisure, all those things reopen. But we will need some more than that, because if you think about a really important sector for us here, the whole events, conferences sector, Birmingham is famous for that. It can't just reopen and the consumer spend. We're going to need government to actually say that's the date that these events can really happen. They'll need to be planned for, and businesses will need to get behind that. So I understand exactly why he says what he does, but there are other business sectors that are going to need a bit more coaxing than purely the consumer spending.
And on that, can I ask you about the easing of lockdown? The Prime Minister tells us February the 22nd he will start to describe how it's going to happen. How anxious are you to see the West Midlands unlocked? Do you think this lockdown has perhaps gone on too long for your area?
No, I don't actually, Andrew. If you look at our area, we have actually seen a slower reduction in cases than elsewhere. Some of our local authorities are amongst the highest infection rates at the moment. They're coming down rapidly now, but it looks to us on the sort of trajectory that we're on that the timing the Prime Minister's talking about, the 8th of March, looks about right for us. And certainly it would have been premature up to now.
And will you get your schools open on March the 8th?
I'm hoping we will. Last time round, there was actually a very good level of opening of schools across the West Midlands when this was September. We were talking about doing this in September, and actually there was really good cooperation. So that would be my first priority for that to happen this time round.
All right, that's Andy Street. He's the Mayor of the West Midlands. Thanks for joining us. I've been trying to get him on this programme for a very long time, so it's very nice to get him on. Andy Street. We've only got 30 seconds.